All right, ladies, gents, back for episode 6, Pro Shot Podcast. Cameron, you're still here, right? Right?
Yeah, I'm still alive.
Thank God that you're still alive after what happened this week. Oh, man. By the way, those jerseys are still black and white.
Before we, and Tyler, I just want to say something. We recorded a podcast. We recorded an episode.
A doubleheader, which was all the junior trades and everything.
The whole footage got corrupted, and we basically talked for a whole 30 minutes, and it didn't even record a single. Yeah, we recorded 2 parts, and it didn't even record a single thing.
We were supposed to do a recap of the trade deadline for the CHL, and then we did like another NHL episode. So everything that we recorded, just our recording software, Craig, he didn't record.
He didn't record. He got depressed. All right.
You know, he ate some really bad fish, and then he was throwing up, so he didn't get to record. Told him don't eat the shrimp, but he didn't listen.
He didn't listen, man. He didn't listen.
Anyways, yeah, what a week it's been for the hockey universe, man. I'm telling you, there's been some pretty wacky stuff. Those jerseys are still black and white, by the way. I don't like them.
They look pretty shitty. All right,
those All-Star jerseys.
That's all I gotta say.
So first off, I want to open up with the All-Star jerseys. The All-Star jerseys were revealed last week. We were going to cover that, but again, it didn't get recorded. Basically, it's the team logo with black and white jerseys. Those are the first ever jerseys that are made out of recycled plastics from the ocean. Those things just...
What are those jerseys? Wait, can I just say, what the hell are those jerseys?
I don't even know what that's supposed to be.
Oh. What is next? What is it going to be next year? Is it going to be blue? Is it going to be all blue?
As long as
blue and yellow?
Not, as long as they're not purple.
What do you got, St. Louis? Please tell me it's going to be better than San Jose's stupid jerseys. Come on.
These are going to be, I hope they're going to be better because, you know, this is just ridiculous. Like, it's been like, what, the 3rd year in a row that the jerseys have sucked?
Well, I mean, last year's wasn't bad.
Yeah, last year's, it was Tampa last year. So, yeah, it wasn't bad. The Team Atlantic jerseys, love those ones.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely beautiful.
Those were absolutely amazing.
You know what, honestly, with these ones here, it's just like that doesn't have an all-star feel because they've got the team logos on it. They look like practice jerseys.
But every single jersey's black and white.
Let me just give fair warning, ladies and gentlemen. So if you came here expecting us not to rip on the all-star jerseys, you came to the wrong place.
This isn't the podcast for you.
These things were made to be ripped on.
Of course they were.
It's almost like, to me, what happened was they gave it a last-minute tune-up. They were just trying to find out ideas like, oh, yeah, you know, what can we do to make these all-star jerseys look cool? Oh, I have an idea. Let's just make 3rd jerseys.
I know, exactly. Come on.
What the hell? I don't even know at this point. All right. Other recent news. I feel like this needs to be addressed. If you've been watching our Twitter recently, or my personal Twitter, which I will link down in the description of the video when we're finished. Recent news, and this doesn't just go for this particular situation. Recent news after the Colorado Avalanche beat the Toronto Maple Leafs the other night in a absolutely horrific 6-3 victory. Jake Gardiner got a lot of hate on not only his Twitter but his Instagram as well, and he hasn't posted on forever. For those of you who didn't see the highlights, again, we'll link those down in the bio as well. But, he got pickpocketed on 1 goal, and he's just getting blamed for the entire game. It was brutal. Some of the comments were just absolutely disgusting. Like,
absolutely disgusting.
Like, you know what? And there were some good comments like, oh, you know, you don't deserve the hate, or, you know, but, and then there were some bad comments that were just like, oh, yeah, buddy, you should go kill yourself, stuff like that. You should never, ever, ever, ever say that. I don't care if you are the king of the universe. I don't care if you're a hockey royalty. You don't say that shit.
No, you don't. That's classless.
That's unacceptable. And this is the kind of thing that makes us Canadians look crap because it's us doing it. They did the same thing with Maxime Comtois after the game against Finland.
Yeah, it's making us look stupid.
It's making us look classless. And you know what? It sets a bad example for Leaf fans as well, especially the two of us, because it just basically is just like, oh yeah, well, you guys suck because you're insulting your own players. When there are far worse fan bases that do the exact same thing and they're not talked about. Exactly. I'll tell you this. There are just as many bad comments about Jake Gardiner as there is good ones. Do I necessarily think that he deserves this hate? No. Do I think that he's a good player? Not as good as he used to be by any means. Like, I don't hate on Jake Gardiner, but I mean, he's not the defenseman that we need. I hope he goes to a better team, and I hope he's appreciated more there than he was here. You know what? This is it. Like, this is just the type of thing that we don't need to do, is treat our players like this. First off, they're going to blame Gardiner, and this isn't the first time they've blamed him. Game 7 was the last time they blamed him for this, and then they did it again after the loss to Colorado. Yeah, that's unacceptable. Unacceptable. It is never okay to issue death threats, Cameron, to somebody who cost you the game.
I've seen the comments. It's absolutely absurd.
And no, if you want to take a look at the comments, you can scroll through yourself, but we're not going to mention them here. They're just too disgusting, too vile, and it's just too graphic. But it's never okay to do that. Like, you know what? Jake Gardiner gets a lot more hate than he deserves.
Exactly.
That's terrible. Like, that is absolutely terrible.
He doesn't deserve any of this.
Absolutely not. You know what? It's the fact that he's even getting told, like, oh yeah, you know, Toronto needs to trade you for a bag of pucks. Like, that's typical. Like, you know, oh, Leaf fans are gonna say that. But to say you should go kill yourself because you turned over the puck and you couldn't keep him up with one defender or one forward, sorry. That's not acceptable by any means. I don't care what
people are telling him to take his freaking life. I mean, come on.
Don't say that to somebody. That's horrible. That's no joking matter. That makes you a shitty person for who you are.
Exactly.
Just do not ever do that. I'm just reminding everybody, it is not okay to do that.
No.
Like, if you do that, I'm just saying this. If you issue death threats or you're going on and commenting something negative on their post after they did that, get a life.
I mean, I get it. Everybody is going to be negative. There's always going to be that one negative person that's going to say something, and it's going to ruin your day.
And you know what, Gardiner, he's sensitive. He's a sensitive guy. Like, he's an emotional guy in the dressing room. Like, you saw him in the interview when he was doing after that game. He nearly teared up, which I felt bad for the guy because of like all this stuff that he was getting blamed for. The fans booed him when he touched the puck. Like, what the hell is that?
I mean, shame on you, Toronto. Shame on you.
You know what? I am embarrassed to be a Toronto Maple Leafs fan right now.
I'm embarrassed to be a Toronto Maple Leafs fan right now. That is so classless. That is
shameful.
That is shameful. That is, I don't give a damn if he's been playing bad. I don't give a damn. You don't send death threats to a person that has been playing bad hockey. He's just been playing bad hockey. You don't boo him every time he touches the puck. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. It's a joke. It's making us Leaf fans look like a joke.
You know what? And to finish that off too, you know what? That it does make us Leaf fans look classless, and you know what? It makes the rest of the league and Canadian hockey fans look classless because the same thing happened right after Maxime Comtois screwed up the penalty shot against Finland.
Yeah, he's been getting it. Yeah, he's still getting freaking hate. Have you seen? What? Did you see? He's still getting hate.
He may be playing bad. Keep your comments to yourself. If you don't, and my dad once told me, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all.
Everybody, I think that's what everybody's parents to say.
Keep your shit to yourself.
You know what? You Toronto fans, listen to this. We're Toronto fans. We don't say that stuff. You Toronto fans need to smarten up. That is ridiculous. And I can't believe, and you want to know something? The ring announcer should have said something. Please stop booing.
I don't know if he would have done that.
Booing. Please stop booing and stop sending death threats to players. This is ridiculous. This has been happening for a long time now. They've been sending death threats to Jake Gardiner forever.
Well, you know what's going to end up happening, and I'm just going to add this in before we talk about the next thing here. it's not just Toronto Maple Leaf fans that need to smarten up. It's everybody in the league. Everybody's team does something at some point to piss someone off, and they need to stop this. End the hate. Screw social media insults. Just forget about it. Yeah, so as I was saying, all right, yeah, on to the next thing, because I'm really heated. I can't believe
I'm really heated too. I don't want to talk about this anymore.
This is disgusting. Like the amount of hate that goes around the league. Anyways, so on the next one, trade deadline, less than a month away. This is a good time to talk about some trade rumors, don't you think?
I definitely think it is.
Bobrovsky, recently he was suspended temporarily for a game. He was told to go home because he, quote unquote, failed to comply with the team's guidelines and expectations.
Yes.
And yes. I don't know what that was about. The press never really said anything, but I would speculate almost 100% this has something to do with his contract.
Absolutely. I think it has something to do with his contract. And I think he's going to get traded in February in the trade deadline. I think he is.
I think he's even going to get traded. I would watch the next couple of days to make sure. I mean, they want him to say, like, Columbus is... It's pretty obvious that Columbus is not winning the Stanley Cup this year.
Absolutely not. They're not winning the Cup for a while.
No, and then they've got the contract situations. Jarmo Kekalainen is not prepared to offer Sergei Bobrovsky carry price money. And on top of that, he's got to sign Artemi Panarin, too, so that's just not happening.
Yeah, Panarin, we all know. We all know about Artemi Panarin, all right? He's not going to be a Columbus Blue Jacket next year. It's pretty obvious at this point.
Him and Bobrovsky want to skip town together. They're the raging Russians that want to leave. That's just what it is. They're the Russians that want to leave. Speaking of the Metropolitan Division, another potential destination, and this links into the next rumor that we're talking about, is Philadelphia for Sergei Bobrovsky. We've talked about it a little bit before, and we're not going to talk about it much longer because there hasn't been really any new speculations as to why. But it's pretty interesting because Wayne Simmons is apparently available per Philadelphia, and there's been a couple of teams that have actually been looking into him. If I remember correctly, I believe the Winnipeg Jets are in on it.
Yes.
And there was a couple of other teams. So let me just look at this for a second.
I think it was the Kings as well trying to get him back.
It was the Kings. It might have been. I know that the Winnipeg Jets were potentially going to make a move for Wayne Simmons. So he could be on the move. That's no surprise.
That is no surprise.
That's not a surprise at all. You know, the Jets are a powerhouse team.
I think he's going to be the one big guy that's going to be traded on in
February 25th.
I think he will be big guy going on February 25th.
Which, by the way, February 25th is going to be our trade deadline live stream for those of you who are...
You guys do not want to miss that. We are going to be live all day.
We're going to be covering... I'm going to be covering from early in the morning, 8:30 Eastern time is when it starts. 2:30 p.m. Eastern time is when it ends. So we're going to be streaming all day.
I'm gonna have to set my alarm. Jesus,
it's gonna be early. Early bird gets the worm.
Early bird, yep.
But yeah, so and another recent rumor that I've been hearing about as well was Derek Brassard might be on the move for Pittsburgh.
Yes, because that's another big one.
I was reading an article earlier about how when they first got him, they were expecting him to fill that third line center role, and he never really panned out to be their third line center. But what I was actually listening to I was reading an article by The Score. Darren Dreger was reportedly saying that they are listening to offers on Derek Brassard. So here's what Jimmy Rutherford, here's what Dreger had to say. I know that Jim Rutherford is at least listening to some of the offers of interest on Derek Brassard. The expectation is that he will get traded and the Penguins will get at least in return a number 3 center back.
Yes.
I would personally, if I were the Penguins, I would be very, very careful how you do that because you need to manage your cap well, which they have limited space of now.
Yes, very limited.
Just think about this right now.
Very, very limited.
So Derek Brassard is 31 years old. He has 1 season left on his contract and is owed $5 million this season with $2 million retained by Vegas.
Oh my goodness.
And he's got a modified no trade clause as well. So that's a thing. I never understood.
So he's gonna
like, you know what, the whole no trade clause thing, it was just that's just a pain in the ass for so many teams.
That's just a pain in the ass because they have to send a list of the teams that they
want to play. This is a result of Eric Lindros.
Exactly.
Has to be a result of Eric Lindros. And like, you know what, another thing though too that was linked to and here it all links into each other. That's what I like about this. That's what I like about this episode. It's all linked into each other. The Ducks were reportedly, they don't really want to trade Jakob Silfverberg, but if needed, he could still be moved. So I've been hearing that they're trying to work a new contract with him. But is it going to be possible for them to do it, Cameron? What do you think? Is it going to be like is he going to resign or is he going? Should I stay or should I go?
You know, I don't know, but it's going to be interesting to see because they've got so much talent coming up, and they want to keep that talent there, and you never know. You just never know.
Anyways, yeah. So what I've been reading, actually, TSN put out an article a couple of days ago. Actually, sorry, it was just yesterday. So Bob Murray is looking to re-sign Jakob Silfverberg. He's one of the teams that, you know, the Anaheim Ducks are not doing extremely well. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes.
Silfverberg is one of the key players for the Ducks, and the Ducks have not been doing very, very good lately.
Oh, and we're going to talk about that in actually just a second after this. But
yes, we're going to talk about that in just a second. But their cap is not really good right now because they've got Gibson's contract next year. Didn't it kick in this year or was it next year?
I believe it kicked in this year. I could be wrong, but
but you also got the 2 contracts of Ryan Getzlaf and Corey Perry, and plus you also got a big contract in Ryan Kessler. So that's going to be a huge problem. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see, but I know the GM wants to sign Silfverberg, but I don't think he can do it.
If I were Bob Murray, I would probably be listening to offers. He could do it if he wanted to, but
yeah,
with Getzlaf's contract, $9.25 million per season.
Yeah, that's a big contract.
On top of Corey Perry, who's also
getting like $8+ million. He's getting like $8+.
And so we've got Getzlaf at 9.5, Perry with 9, and Kessler, who's earning 7.8.
My goodness,
that's
Anaheim's in deep trouble.
And I actually was reading something a little bit earlier today as well with Ryan Kessler, that TSN reported that he has no plans to move his no trade clause. I don't know if that's going to last. And that team is that team is in deep trouble.
Shit's Creek. That team is in shit.
They've lost 12 of their last 12.
12 in a row.
12 in a row. That's
my
horrible.
Goodness. It is a dumpster fire right now in Anaheim.
That is terrible.
The
last time
I
saw
a team like that is unacceptable.
They were contenders at one point. They were Stanley Cup contenders just a few years ago too. And
Tyler, the weird thing about this whole thing, they are still in a playoff spot.
Pacific Division is just that weak.
It is the worst division in the entire NHL.
Right now, currently, yes. Vegas, I believe,
another team that's not doing very good and that's really shocking is the St. Louis Blues. They're one of the last place teams in the entire league.
I can't say I'm surprised. Honestly, at this point, I knew that the Blues were going to do absolutely terrible. I didn't know they were going to do as bad as they.
And they are one of the front runners right now. They are one of the front runners and I believe their pick is still top 10 protected. So they could be getting Jack Hughes. Could be getting Jack Hughes.
They traded their
pretty
pick.
Good front runner right now.
They traded their pick right this year.
They're a pretty good front runner.
That's right. So here's what we're looking at in terms of the standings so far. So first place in the Metropolitan, we've got the top 3 teams are Columbus, Washington, and the Islanders. We've got Tampa, Toronto, Boston, which Boston and Toronto are separated by 1 point. And so is Montreal, by the way. Montreal is 57 points, tied with Boston.
Montreal is in the wild card.
Yep. And they could be ahead of Toronto if they win. So, and then Pittsburgh.
That's right.
And then Pittsburgh's in the second wild card spot. Buffalo's just looking out.
Yes.
In the Western Conference. Winnipeg, Nashville, Colorado in the Central. Calgary, San Jose, Vegas in the Pacific. And the 2 wild cards, Dallas and Minnesota.
Yes.
That's
now
Edmonton.
Keep going.
There are 3 teams right now in the West that are tied that are tied for if they could knock Minnesota out of the playoffs. Let's just say that. Edmonton, Vancouver, and Anaheim. They're all 3 in playoff position. If they could just get one more win, they're in playoff position.
The thing is, Vancouver has tons of games played. The other teams are a lot of games behind. So Vancouver could fall down.
Actually, Vancouver's played 47 games, Edmonton's played 46, and Anaheim's played 47.
Yeah.
You know what the really funny thing is?
Yeah.
Right now, St. Louis is 45 points. That means they're only 4 points out of a playoff spot.
Yeah, but
Los Angeles, however,
I believe they are. Oof.
St. Louis is, you know what? If they can't turn this around by the trade deadline, they're smoked bacon. They're smoked bacon.
The team that I think is going to get knocked out of the playoffs, the one team that is in very big trouble, is the Minnesota Wild.
Oh yeah, you know what? Here, let me just read out the Anaheim Ducks season record this year and their last 10. So their last 10, they're 6-4, or they're 0-6-4. Their regular season record at home, 10-7-8, and their road record is 9-12-1.
Oh,
that's brutal.
That is brutal.
That's brutal. And then Minnesota, their home record's 12-8-3, away record 11-12-0, and their last 10 they're 6-4.
Yeah, but I mean, the team that could be the odd team out would be. We all know St. Louis. St. Louis is not even getting anywhere near the playoffs.
I don't think they're even going to make the playoffs.
No, St. Louis is going to be a top 5 pick this year.
Oh, easily.
But
I think easily.
But I mean, I think the last place team in the NHL right now, I believe, is Chicago.
It's last place team in the NHL right now is the LA Kings.
Is the LA?
The Ottawa Senators are last place.
Yes, the Ottawa Senators. But that pick would go to Colorado because of the Shane trade.
Well, Avalanche fans, I hope you're ready for Jack Hughes. Nathan McKinnon and Jack Hughes tearing it up.
Nathan McKinnon, Mikko Rantanen, Jack Hughes. You better get ready.
That's just ridiculous. And just giving a brief scoring update right now. Ottawa is currently winning over Colorado 5-2. Philadelphia's beating Boston 3-2. Yep. And that's 29 seconds left in the third. We've got Philadelphia beating Boston 3-2, which I'm happy about that because then Boston won't, beat us for second place in the Atlantic. And then Calgary and Buffalo just started, so it's. And then still to come tonight, we've got the Oilers and the Canucks and the Sharks and the Coyotes.
All right.
And just a great lineup so far tonight. But I mean, oh my god,
yeah,
that's just absolutely horrible. That's just horrible. The fact that the Ducks are doing this bad after a good season last year, good lord.
Should not have traded Freddie to us. Thank you.
Yeah, right. We'll take Freddie. We'll take Freddie off your hands. So right now, just to, you know what, let's get into the injury update a little bit. So I believe what they were saying. So Danny DeKeyser is skating for the first time since signing his new contract. Or sorry, first time since his injury, not signing his new contract. I screwed up there a minute.
Correct.
They're saying that Ryan Miller's supposed to return around the All-Star break right after. Taylor Hall has not skated yet for the Devils, and he's been working out of ice. He's working out off ice. So he hasn't been skating quite yet. Miles Wood left in the third period of the game against the Blackhawks, so he's out with an undisclosed injury. We don't know.
Yeah.
It's, you know what, it could be anything that the lower body problem, let's just say that. Thomas Chabot most likely will be back. Colin White is unlikely to play before the All-Star break.
I believe Chabot played tonight.
Yes, I believe. Yes, I think he did. But yes, so Jonas Donskoy was skating for the Sharks, and you know what? Honestly, he's a great player. I watched him in the playoffs a couple of years ago when they were going up against the Penguins in the Stanley Cup final. He's just a fun player to watch. Like, he's skilled, he's finished. You know, never forget that goal that he scored, and the announcers went crazy.
Yes.
Like, oh my gosh. That was probably one of the best goals I've ever seen too. That was Yeah, Chabot did play tonight. He got an assist tonight. He did have an assist. I'm just looking at the score sheet now. So Brady Tkachuk is tearing it up too. So he's doing pretty good. Yeah, so he did have an assist tonight. So Tom Chabot is back in the lineup. Freddie's back, obviously. After a Freddie Anderson's back, had that. Yeah, after that. Oh my. And then so we're started up. But don't go started back on that. Yeah, we're just looking at Tyler Myers now. So and currently no progress on him. So, oh man, Cameron, are you ready? For what? Snoop Doggy Dogg taking over the NHL, bud. So basically, what happened was, and we're gonna, you know what? I'm gonna try and show the clip, but Snoop Dogg did the commentary for the Los Angeles Kings the other night, and he was, let's just say, he was a regular riot. I could get used to that if it came down to it. I can get used to it. So, you know what? Honestly, he was commentating the fight with Dion Phaneuf, which, again, Phaneuf, like, he seems to be getting into more fights now, it seems. But yeah, he was commentating the game, and it was pretty funny. So I'm gonna see if we can show the clip, but it was pretty hilarious. Yeah, that was just something I will never forget. That was just, oh my god, that was mint 10 out of 10. So listen, Snoop, if you're listening to this, consider hockey as a career, man. You know, if you ever want to take a break from music, I'm sure the LA Kings would hire you. You're a legend. He's you know what? That's what we'll refer to him now. Snoop Dogg, the LA Kings commentating legend. It's an LA Kings life for me. I'm never doing that again. No, don't. Yeah, that was pretty funny, honestly. Just seeing Snoop doing that. He was wearing the LA Kings Stanley Cup championship ring on one finger. It was pretty awesome just hearing him do the commentary. Yeah. So you know what? Honestly, I just want to go back a little bit to the next few games that are going on in the next few nights. So I'm gonna try and leave the OHL out of this one because the Memorial Cup's coming up soon. It's coming fast. There's not gonna be many games left. But we're gonna cover that entirely. Right now, though, after the trade deadline, let's just say the Mississauga Steelheads are not playoff contenders anymore. They are not looking to even. They're not looking to contend. And there's a certain Oshawa Generals trade that I'm really ticked off about, and there's also a Mississauga Steelheads trade that Tyler's really ticked off about. Oh yeah, there's been a couple of them. Owen Tippett got traded. Michael Little got traded. Ryan McLeod got traded, and then for Oshawa, Jack Studnicka and Matt Broussard. Jack Studnicka got traded. Matt Broussard. It was almost Kyle Kaiser who got traded too. Yeah, Kyle.
Almost Kyle Kaiser almost got traded. Yeah.
But you know what? Honestly, I'm just kind of glad that the suffering's over now. So, that was a rough few days. But yeah, going back. So we're gonna actually be covering the Memorial Cup, or at least I will anyway. So we're gonna try and do the best that we can to cover not only the OHL playoffs, the WHL playoffs, the QMJHL playoffs, but we're also going to be covering the Memorial Cup when it hits as well. So Cameron and I are going to most likely do that, so stay tuned for that. But coming up tomorrow night, January 17th, we got the Blues and the Bruins. We got the Devils and the Islanders. We got the Blackhawks and the Rangers, the Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's going to be a tough game to watch if I'm a Leaf fan, which I am. Nashville and Winnipeg, Minnesota, Anaheim, Dallas, LA. And then, we've got a whole lineup this weekend. So, we've got back-to-back games. Toronto's going up against Florida on Friday. Montreal, Columbus, Washington, the Islanders, Carolina and Ottawa, Calgary, Detroit, Pittsburgh, Arizona, Buffalo, Vancouver. And on Saturday, which the Leafs don't play, Hockey Night in Canada, the first Hockey Night in Canada that I've seen in a while that the Leafs don't play. We've got New Jersey, Anaheim, Colorado, Los Angeles, St. Louis, Ottawa, Winnipeg, Dallas, New York Rangers, and Boston. We got Montreal and Philly, Tampa Bay, Tampa Bay and San Jose, Nashville, Florida, Minnesota, Columbus, Vegas, Pittsburgh, and Edmonton and Calgary, which is the free game of the weekend presented by CBC. That's a pretty impressive game lineup for the next few days.
Battle of Alberta.
You know what? Anytime you get to watch the Battle of Alberta is exciting because, it's McDavid versus Monahan, Gaudreau versus Lucic.
It's pretty much. Well, if you're looking at it star-wise, Gaudreau versus McDavid, and then
Gaudreau versus McDavid, Monahan versus Draisaitl, Lucic versus Kachuk. Yeah.
I mean, you could say Nuge versus Kachuk. I don't know.
We can't even say Lucic anymore because he's actually been tearing it up his last few games. He's scored a couple of goals, so that's.
He actually has, yeah.
He's been on quite the tear recently. I'm surprised that when EA Sports released the Team of the Week in NHL 19 this week, I'm surprised that Lucic didn't get on it. But, just the way it is. Sometimes they snub Oilers, sometimes they snub Bruins, they snub Rangers, and all in between. So, that's just how it goes.
Oh, yeah, all in between.
Up next, you know what? Cameron, we were going to do your future lines as well, but, tragedy struck, and, let's just...
Tragedy struck.
That future lines are no more because he lost the paper. Damn it, Cameron, you had one job.
I had one job, and I blew it. I'm sorry, everybody, but it might come back in the future, but right now, it's not avail.
Sometimes, if your team doesn't do outdoor practices, your team doesn't do outdoor practices. I mean, they did one in Minnesota, but that was the Jake Gardner Classic, as they say. Guy's got a freaking classic named after him, too. Missing Minnesota. You know what? I vote that we trade Gardner to Minnesota for Jonas Brodin.
Yeah.
Jared Spurgeon.
That'd be great.
for Jared Spurgeon and Jason Spezza's old contract.
Yeah.
and his laugh too.
Oh man. If you guys haven't heard his laugh, Tyler will put it down.
I need to put a link to the gif of him laughing, just like
Tyler will put it down. Tyler will put it down in the description.
Just so they can hear his laugh. That's gonna be pretty awesome. So, but you know what? I think that was a lot of great things that have happened over the week. It's been a pretty eventful week, especially for the Leaf fans.
But Tyler, I think we should end it off with something that just recently happened.
What's that, Cameron?
The World Cup of 2020
That's
is canceled.
I almost forgot to mention that. Yes, they canceled. The NHL has confirmed today that because of a potential lockout in 2020, they have canceled the World Cup of Hockey. I think
I don't get this. I don't get this at all. If they still want to play hockey, they can still play hockey. It's just like the 2018 Olympics all over.
Well, here's the problem with the Olympics. So the 2020 the World Cup of Hockey is just the NHLPA. That's who it's run by. So it was all NHL players. So the NHL Players Association runs that. So
yes,
obviously I understand why they would cancel it, but I mean seriously, you canceled our Olympics. Now you're going to cancel our World Cup of Hockey next year?
Come on. The only thing we can look forward to for NHL players in international hockey is the World Hockey Championships in like May or something like that.
Come on. Like, you know what? Even the World Championship's not that entertaining to watch. I mean, you talk about good to hockey. Oh. Like, the World Championship is probably one of the more underrated events. But at the same time, I don't find it really interesting to watch.
It's not exciting as like a World Juniors or an Olympics or a World Cup of Hockey.
Think about this.
It's just not.
Because think about this. Football season is the summer. If you have hockey in the summer, no, it just doesn't work.
It doesn't work. I mean, the football's on right now.
Which, by the way, go Patriots. You know, New England.
No, go Saints. Okay, I don't want to talk. Well, that's
another debate. We'll save for another day. But you know what? I'm cheering for the Patriots. So. But yeah, so all right. You know what? Just hockey in the summer is just not the same as watching it during the regular season. Unless it's the Leafs in the Stanley Cup final, then it's entertaining to watch no matter what. But who knows if that'll happen this year? I'm hoping so, but
exactly,
fingers crossed.
Right.
All right. So, Cameron, is there anything else you want to add?
There is nothing else.
Actually, there is something that I want to add. So, we've actually introduced a new member to our podcast, Jonathan Petit,
and his name is Jonathan Petit. He is no longer he is not here today because emergency happened, but on the unfortunate circumstances. But the next episode,
we'll hopefully have him on board.
We are guaranteeing we are hopefully to having him on board. John, welcome to the podcast. We are happy to have you. Another big hockey knowledge guy into our podcast. He knows a lot of things, so I can't wait to have him on the podcast. I have known the guy for almost 10 years. He is one of my great friends. You guys are gonna love him.
If all works out well, then we'll hopefully have the guys on for next week.
Oh, and the Bruins fans, you guys are gonna love this. He's a Bruins fan.
He loves the Bruins, so you know.
Same as Dylan, another guy.
That's because Dylan actually.
Ryan, you got Ryan, who is a Penguins fan, and you got me and Tyler, who are.
And then you got the two Bruins fans, the two Leaf fans, and a Penguins fan. How do we make it work? We're all good friends. That's how. But yeah,
we're all good friends. Yeah.
If all works out next week, then we'll hopefully all five of us be on the podcast. So we'll look forward to that. I hope so. We'll see what we can do. We'll see what we can pull through. Cameron, you know what? I think it's time that we add a name onto the wall of names. You've got Igor Shestyorkin as number 1.
Oh my goodness! What a name, Jeff Bookaboom. That's a great name.
And this is for those of you who are not familiar.
And we want to mention something. That almost happened, and I hope that doesn't happen again. John Scott, if you were listening to this podcast, you
gave us a heart attack, John.
We almost lost him.
Yeah, for those of you who didn't hear, John Scott he has an ice in his, I believe, what was it? He's got a house on the lake, so he was going out to clean up the ice rink, and he almost fell through the ice.
And he fell through the ice and almost died.
Just narrowly avoided death.
So, John, our prayers were with you. You are an absolute legend. The greatest player of all time. Greatest player of all time. Wayne Gretzky, you could step aside. John Scott is the greatest player of all time. You gotta love John Scott. John, you're listening to this. We love you, man.
John Scott was just he's a nice guy, both on and off the ice. Well, he was known more as an enforcer, but he's a nice guy off the ice as well. And we're glad that nothing happened to him.
5 goals in his NHL career. That will go down in history as the greatest goal scorer.
We're just glad that nothing happened to him. So anyways, but yes, back to our Hall of Names. So Cameron, we've got Igor Shestyorkin, Jeff Bookaboom. It's time.
I'm sorry, but what were you thinking? I'm sorry. What were you thinking? Igor Shestyorkin. That is a great name.
Here, and by the way, for those of you who think we're, mocking or making fun of these names, actually, no, we're not. We're honoring some of the awesome, like the great names of hockey that, are just, they're just so, they're worthy of making the list.
Igor Shestyorkin is a goaltender coming up for the New York Rangers. Step aside, Lundqvist, because your time's almost up. It's Igor. It's almost Igor.
You know what? I think we're going to add a new name every episode. I want to add Marek Zidlitsky to the list. He was a great player, and you know what? We're gonna add two today. We're gonna add Rob Klinkhammer as well.
Fucking Klinkhammer! Oh my goodness! Oh, you want to know something? Oh, here's a good one. Here's a really, really, really good one. Jordan Tutu. All right, Jordan Tutu.
Here's what we got on the Hall of Names so far. We've got Shestyorkin, Tutu, Bukaboom, Zidlitsky, and I'm going to add one more. And you know who that name is?
Yes.
Paris Duffus, or Doofus.
Oh my goodness.
Added for the wall of names this week.
No, you want, okay, I don't know if this guy, okay, this guy's a Finnish guy. He plays in the Finnish Hockey League. I don't know if he plays anymore, but his name is like Pakalanovovera or something.
So do you hear?
It's a really long last name. Pakalanovovera. I don't know. I'm gonna search this guy up after the podcast, and then I'm gonna come back here.
So I want to pay.
I'm gonna see it
before we end it. I also want to pay a little bit of a special tribute to the Grand Falls Rapids, who recently made a couple of big moves to improve the team. So once again, you may have heard me talk about the last episode that the Grand Falls Rapids are this Junior A team, this wonderful Junior A team. On the trade deadline for the Maritime Junior A Hockey League, they made a huge move and acquired one of the best solid defensemen that I've ever seen play, Jordan Spatafor, which I can't.
That's another name,
man.
That is another name, Jordan Spatafor.
He was just great. The games that I watched him play in were just absolutely great. So congrats, Jordan, on playing your first game as a Rapid and scoring your first point as a Rapid as well. So welcome to the squad. And you know what? Perfect.